So the Calvert County Blueprint Committee will conduct their meeting virtually on February 1st, 2023 at 2:00 p.m. via Zoom. Please note that this meeting will be recorded and posted online publicly for reference. So we will begin with call to order, and I will do roll call. Just when I call your name, say here if you are. Dr. Sampson.
Here.
Mark Willis may be joining us. He is stuck in another meeting. Pamela Cousins.
Here.
Melissa Goshorn sent me a message and she is at I think she's testifying at the state, so she will not be able to join us today. Donna Ostenso.
Here.
Wilson Perrin.
Here.
Mike Schisler.
Here.
Joanna Stallings.
Here.
Stacy Taman.
Here.
Myself, Ruthie Buckler, I am here. Tony Navarro, I'm not sure if he got back. He is
Here.
Oh, he is here. Yay. Yeah. John Norris. I don't think he has made it either. Okay, so roll call has begun. We need to review and approve the agenda for today's meeting, February 1st, 2023. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda is approved as written. And now I will turn it over to Dr. Sampson for, you'll probably do Calvert County Public Schools Blueprint status update and the review of the implementation plan. All of those things can be done together. So I turn it over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. So status update. Right now, let me backtrack a bit. So on January the 10th, we were at 45% complete in terms of workable responses that were in our implementation plan template that have been completed, questions that have been completed. So out of all the questions listed. And our internal deadline for completion is today for February 1st to have all of the items completed. So as of this morning, we were at 69%. So 113 out of 164 items that had workable responses as of first thing this morning, 7 o'clock. And so we anticipate more of those coming in before the end of the day. The other piece of that is a lot of those items, many of those items are tables. So it's just data that we're waiting for, not necessarily narrative. So that's the good thing. A lot of those items are just tables and graphs that we're waiting for information to be input. So as a result, we're not at a point where we are able to share the template. However, by the end of this week, my goal is to share that template with this committee so that you all can review and then provide feedback on our responses. I have, did you have a question? Okay. So I have connected with the 3 teachers that will be participating on our steering committee. I shared with them the information from which I've also shared with this committee, the pillar deep dive information that was done at our ANS meeting with administrators and supervisors. And what I asked them to do is just review that information, digest it, get a little more background information, and then decide which pillar group they want to participate in terms of contributing to the writing. So I've heard back from one of them already with their particular interest. So I'll be connecting that teacher with that group. And once the other 2 respond, then they will also have their particular groups that they're working with. And just to reiterate, with our plan at this point, it is sort of a what you're doing now aspect of the blueprint implementation, because what we're required to report is, most of it is, what are we currently doing? The next phase of it is, what are we going to change? How are we going to do things differently? And that's for the next 3 years. That part of the plan is due in March of 2024. And that is where we're really going to get input and feedback from all of our stakeholders in terms of how that is going to look. So that is why we're a little slow moving on that piece in terms of the teacher input, because there's really not a need of teacher input on what we're currently doing. Everybody already knows what we're doing. We're just putting it on paper. So the next phase, or the next step in our community engagement, is our next town hall. So our town hall number 2 is scheduled for February 28th at 6:30. And that is going to be in person at the Board of Education. So that's already on the books, and we will be sending communication out soon, as well as reminders as we lead up to that event.
If you share that communication with us, Dr. Sampson, we can send it out through our Facebook channels as well.
Perfect. And then our next Board of Education update is next Thursday, which at that point I will have had a little more time for our steering committee and this committee to look at our current implementation template and provide any thoughts, so that as I put together my presentation for the Board of Education, I can share our progress toward that implementation. So although my presentation is due this week for that presentation next week, I will ask this committee if you could provide me any thoughts. Let's say if you get this by Friday, if you can provide any initial thoughts by Monday or Tuesday, then I can at least incorporate it into my comments, not necessarily into any slides. And then that would be helpful. And that's pretty much it in terms of where we are currently. In terms of our updates, we're just working. We are going to be scheduling individual pillar meetings with stakeholders as well, but those have not been scheduled yet. Working on that with individual pillar work group chairs. And once we are able to identify the dates for those, and we will publicize that too. Any questions?
Dr. Sampson, just to confirm, that is February 28th?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dr. Sampson, correct me if I'm wrong, did that cover the old business stakeholder and focus group survey responses as well? Like
Oh, no, it did not. And I actually don't recall if did I send that out yet?
Not yet.
Okay, so I'll make a note to do that. So yeah, those the parent survey responses were received, and I will get that to you all as well this week.
The next item would be public awareness campaign update. As Mark always says, I think that's just a continuing, ongoing conversation. So if anyone has input towards that, feel free to share at this moment.
I can make a comment real quick. So I met with Renee Daniels, our Chief Communications Officer, last week. She and I talked through some preliminary ideas, as well as kind of tentative location for filming. So she is taking the lead on that from our end. And so what we're going to do is create short snippet videos, 3 minutes or less, where we highlight each pillar. So we're looking at 5 videos and possibly even trying to have some students assist with that. But we haven't worked out those logistics yet because that would take place over at the CTA because they have a studio. And so we're looking at going over there and recording some videos, but we just haven't quite set out the timeline because she's working on some scripts and some other resources from other counties that have already done those kinds of promotional videos. So once she gathers that information, then she'll bring that to me and we can get more specific about how we're going to go about doing it.
And Dr. Sampson, if she will, when they're ready, we can put her in touch with our video team at Calvert County Government for Calvert Broadcast. They have actually added the recordings of these meetings that we're having to our YouTube channel, and we can upload those there as well.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments about public awareness?
I do have a question. Dr. Sampson, you said students may be involved. Are the students recording, participate in recording some of the snippets, like cast of students?
Yes.
Okay. I think that's a great idea.
Okay, I don't see any other hands raised. Update on timeline and deliverables. Is there anything to add for that section, Dr. Sampson?
Not at this point.
Okay. I see no one has joined us from the public. I'm going to read this list one more time. I see no one from the public, so I won't make you listen to my speech. Closing comments, as normal, I will go around robin. I've always been calling Dr. Sampson and Mark Lewis first. Do you think I should end with both of you instead of start with you, since you've done most of the talking? Probably. I'll start that this time. I will start at the same order as I called roll, except for those two. So Pamela Cousins, would you have any closing comments for the meeting?
I just have, I need a clarity on Dr. Sampson's request for us to provide updates by next Monday. And is that updates or comments on the draft implementation plan?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. That's all I needed. Thank you.
Melissa's not with us. Donna Ostenso?
Pam took care of mine. That's what I wanted to clarify as well. And we're going to get that by the end of the week is what I heard, correct?
That is correct. And just
Okay.
a reminder, it is not a public ready document. So please hold on to that.
Mm-hmm. Understood. Thank you.
Wilson Perrin?
Yes, just want to comment on the presentation to the Board of County Commissioners. I think it went very well. One clarification I think that would be helpful is one of the commissioners mentioned the availability of I think 3-year-old, that it should be for everybody and not just for the disadvantaged, if you will. There's a myth, as we all know, sitting here, different elements are funded by different sources. So if I recall, once the state may provide money for a certain group, but it does not preclude the local Board of Education for asking for funding for everybody. And I just want to make sure that it comes off and it's communicated. It looks as if we were just focusing on one group, but I know that boards of education do look at how they're going to fund it, and the state provides maybe a piece of it. I thought the presentation went very well. This is something not for this group, but how will we show the funding coming into Calvert County for this blueprint? Would it be tracked as a fund allocated to different groups, do you know, or just allocated to the groups, you will not track how much is coming in?
So are you asking about the state funding?
Yeah, the state funding, or, we're going to have initiatives to show that what we're doing. Will we also show the dollars allocated to that, or any additional resources allocated to it?
So yeah, there's actually, we just got that last week in terms of the estimated funding that we will receive per category.
Right.
So we do have to report on how that is spent.
Okay.
So there will be information provided on how that money is spent.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah.
And Wilson brought up a good point. We did actually do some more research on the demographics that were requested during the meeting for the commissioners. From last year's American Community Survey, we can, of course, narrow it down other than under the age of 5, but the population under the age of 5 was 5,015. Of those, 919 are below the poverty level, and 4,096 are above the poverty level. So that was information we were able to provide to the commissioners after the meeting. Okay, Wilson, you are done, correct? Okay. Mike Schisler?
Sorry, I was muted. First off, I want to say thank you again to Ruthie for all the notes and leading to this meeting today. Hope Donna is recovering well from her knee surgery, and hope Dr. Sampson gets back on his feet 100% soon. I also thought the meeting last week at the board commissioners went well, and I thought their questions were good ones, and I think this issue of pre-K and all kids, yeah, we got to find some answers. I mean, looking at different PowerPoints that we received from different groups, and the most recent one was one that Tony had shared from a conference he had gone to. It gets stated on some of these slides that we are talking about all kids for pre-K. So, not having a sliding scale or a checklist. So we need to get that clarified. So that's my thoughts on that. Thank you.
Are you able to unmute, Ms. Stallings, or you have nothing?
I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Oh,
No
you're
comment.
good. You're good. You have anything to add? No?
No, not today.
Okay. Stacy Tame.
Nothing from me. Thank you.
All right. I have nothing. Tony Navarro?
I just second what Dr. Schisler mentioned, that more clarification is needed about many points of the blueprint.
And John Norris.
Nothing for the group. Thanks.
Okay. Okay, well, that brings us to the end. There is nothing for I didn't call on Dr. Sampson. Do you have closing remarks? I apologize.
Nothing from me.
It's going to take me a minute to reverse that. Okay, so I'm sorry that Mark could not be with us today. And again, we look forward. It was so nice to meet all of you in person. It's a whole different experience than just seeing everyone in video. So I appreciate everyone that attended. And I will get out any information Dr. Sampson has to share. If you send to me, I will get it out as soon as I can, so that you guys can review and get back in a timely manner. So thank you all for attending, and I hope to see you all next month.
Thanks, Ruthie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.